How you doing? As my friend Tim Waters used to say. Welcome to the Don't Stifle Me podcast. My name is Jacob Stifle, and this is my podcast where I get to sit down with guests from all across music and performing arts and talk with them about how they got to where they are, the challenges, ups and downs, good and bad and ugly, of chasing something that they're passionate about, and anything else that comes up in conversation along the way. But hey, when I'm not podcasting, I'm also a singer and songwriter and musician myself. And I've got some shows on the road coming up. Oh, what is that? Where, you ask? Well, I'll tell you. This Friday, January 26, 2018, I will be in Jasper, Alabama. Saturday, the 27th, I'm here in Donelson, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville, close to where I live. And February 16th, I will be in Daphne, Alabama. February 17th in Mobile, Alabama. And then in March, I will be in the great Lone Star State. I'll be back out in Texas for about 3 weeks. So if you happen to be close to any of those places, come hang out. And you can find info on all those shows at jacobstifle.com. As for the podcast here, this episode is brought to you by you. It is a listener-funded operation for the time being. So if you enjoy what we got going on, first off, make sure you click subscribe so you get all the new episodes. But also, please go check out patreon.com/DSM podcast. Over there for as little as $1, $3 a month, less than a cup of coffee a month, you can get access to exclusive behind-the-scenes pictures, videos, MP3 downloads from behind-the-scenes stuff here at the episode, on the podcast, and much more. And every bit of that, the money that comes in from that goes to upload fees, production costs for all these episodes to keep the train rolling. Oh, boop-a-doop, beep, boop, bop, bop, bee. My guest today is country artist, songwriter, and a phenomenal person, Erin Enderlin. Erin has written songs you might have heard, like Monday Morning Church by Alan Jackson, Last Call by Lee Ann Womack, You Don't Know Jack by Luke Bryan, and has had tons of other songs that have been recorded by major country recording artists. And we talk about a lot of that. On top of that, she's also an artist herself. And her recent release, Whiskeytown Crier album, is available for purchase right now. While you're listening to this, you can go on your phone and you can buy it or listen to it wherever you go listen to things. But I think you should go buy it. Anyway, and stick around at the end because Erin plays a song off of the Whiskeytown Crier album. Now, I was a little nervous when she got here because my laptop kept acting like all of a sudden started acting screwy on me, and the recording was crashing and kept cutting off, and I couldn't figure it out. And of course, right then she gets here and I felt unprofessional, but I gave it a quick reboot while we filled up our coffee cups, and then that did the trick, and it was working when we turned it back on. So here we are, caffeinated and conversating. Here's my talk with Erin Enderlin.
Pick it up the piano.
Good morning. Is it afternoon yet? No, we're still good morning. Good morning, Erin.
Good morning, Jacob.
I'm excited because your name is spelled exactly how it sounds.
Oh, really?
Yes. Enderlin.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you can see it that way. It's kind of fun for me to just save pictures of all the show posters with different spellings of my name.
Oh, well, the Stiefel. Try having the last name Stifle.
Yeah, so we can commiserate on that one.
Yeah. Is what lineage is your name? Do you know?
It's German.
German? Oh, yeah. Me too. My name means boot in German.
Oh.
Does yours have a meaning in German?
I mean, some people say it means end of the line, which seems to make sense
Oh, okay. Yeah.
to me, so.
Very interesting. And that's it's fitting because you have so many songs about death.
Yeah.
How about that?
So it's in my blood.
Yeah. We were getting coffee earlier, and Erin said she liked her coffee cold and dark, like your heart.
Yeah.
Is that what she said? Good stuff.
I just wanted you to know what you're getting into.
Fair enough. It's an open book here at the Don't Stifle Me podcast. I will not stifle you from any of your feelings, so you just get it all out there.
You know, I think it was really smart for you to start this podcast. If nothing else, just then people will automatically know how to say your last name.
Incorrectly.
Yes.
Yes, I've had people. I tell people it's a Don't Stifle Me podcast. It's like, Oh, yeah, Jacob Stifle. No, it's Stiefel. But it's, don't stifle. Yeah. It's confusing. I just figured I'd make it a little bit more. No, but I did it because you can see, okay, Stifle is spelled this way. So surely they won't still say Stifle, but they do. They do. You know,
what are you going to do?
My cross to bear. Erin Enderlin, where are you from?
I'm from Arkansas.
Arkansas, what part of Arkansas?
Well, I pretty much made the tour of the central Arkansas area. I was born in Little Rock.
Okay.
Grew up mostly in Conway, and I lived in Hot Springs a couple of years before I moved here.
I've been through all of those places.
Yeah.
I think I've definitely stopped, and I've definitely slept in a van in Little Rock.
Perfect.
I think I've been to a couple of Starbucks around there. I've played a place in Conway called JJ's Grill.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be there in one of those places in a couple of months. I don't know.
Nice.
It's all right.
You have to tell it hi for me.
Yeah. Hey, Arkansas. Okay, now I'm gone.
Yeah, you can just picture me riding my bike down all those streets.
Yeah. Is that, how long were you born and raised there?
Well, pretty much. I mean, I moved to Conway when I was 4, and that's where my grandparents and...
Family's all from that area. Cool. When did you start playing music?
Well, I was pretty much obsessed early on. I believe the story is that when I was 3, my family was eating at a Cock of the Walk, and I just disappeared from the table and ended up on stage with an old blues man trying to steal his microphone.
What is a cock of the walk?
Well, there's one here in Nashville. It's a restaurant.
Okay.
But then I just became really obsessed with country music super young. When I was little, I would refuse to rent anything except 2 videos from the VHS video store, either Patsy Cline's biography or a collection of Katie Oslin's greatest hit videos.
Katie Oslin's greatest hit videos.
Mm-hmm. And so, and I started playing.
I was really hoping that you were going to say Pure Country was one of them, but
I don't think it was out then.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. When did that come out? Early 90s?
Thanks for making me look old.
Well, I have to ask you, what era was this? My dad was giving me shit the other day. He said, well, you talk to these people. He said, son, I listen to it, and I don't know if I'm listening to a 30-year-old or a 50-year-old.
Yeah, so this would have been mid-late 80s.
Okay.
Just great plethora of artistic greatness.
In Central Arkansas.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. When did you start playing music?
I started playing when I was 5. I started taking piano lessons, which I'm terrible at. But my mom was kind of really hoping that maybe I would get into classical or church music. It didn't happen. Mom. Sorry.
When did you pick up the guitar?
When I was 13. And I had started writing. Actually, I was that weirdo that when I was 10, I was writing songs and bringing them to school.
When you were 10?
Yeah, to play in my music class.
Very cool.
And kept doing that, and I started doing shows and such about 16.
Yeah. What kind of places were you playing in?
A lot of church coffee houses and a lot of coffee houses in general. I was well caffeinated throughout my teens.
As opposed to now.
Well, I've kept up that tradition.
That's a good one to keep. You could have fallen into a lot worse habits, at that age.
Yeah.
I was watching a video of you this morning on YouTube, and you were playing Monday morning church, and I think it was at the Music City Roots or whatever thing.
Oh yeah,
and it's a great video, and you tell a story which is super interesting. But then you start the song, and you started with the chorus, and then you stopped. And you're like, shit. Sorry, I don't think you said shit, but you said,
I probably did.
Sorry, I took some Sudafed this morning, and that's the hardest drug that I take. So, for some reason, I started, and then you had to, you said, just erase that from your memory, and then you started the song. It was. You handled it well. Handled it like a professional.
Thanks. Sudafed is strong stuff. I mean, it's like one step away from meth. So, I feel like a total badass every time I go to Walgreens and they card me
for getting Sudafed.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm getting Sudafed. When did you move to Nashville?
I moved to Nashville. Well, I moved to Murfreesboro when I was 18, which is, basically just the outskirts.
Right. For college?
Yeah. I went to school there, and that made my parents happy, and I could drive down and go to honky tonks, and that made me happy.
I'm going to college, Mom and Dad.
Yeah, and by college, I mean the Broken Spoke
Yeah.
every night of the week to listen to songwriter nights.
Yeah. What did you go to MTSU?
I did.
What did you study there?
Well,
When you were there?
they actually have a program called the Southern Common Market, and so I could go in-state for any major that they don't have in Arkansas. So it was either music industry or aerospace, and I don't need that much physics in my life. I mean, I love physics, don't get me wrong, but...
No aerospace? My sister has a physics degree from Berry College in Rome, Georgia.
See,
She's
I'm
a
glad.
very smart lady.
Yeah.
I have a civil engineering degree, but I feel like that's just below physics. Like, that's a going thing in my life. I love my sister very much, and I love my family, but I feel like if I had been the only child, I would have done these great things. But it was like the whole life. She was the valedictorian. I was number 11 in my class. It was like, but it's okay. I have a podcast. She doesn't have a podcast. How about that?
Yeah.
Take that,
You
Amanda.
do. See, I'll share some nerdy knowledge right now, but I went to boarding school in high school, which I love. Love my high school, Arkansas School for Mathematics and Sciences.
Oh, cool.
But I was really into physics and such then. But I woke up one morning, taking a shower, and was like, at 6 a.m. was figuring the vector speed of the rain, the water drops off of the
That's
shower
awesome.
head, and I was like, I can't do this. I'm too nerdy for myself.
Yeah, that's pretty nerdy. I find myself all the time, still to this day, I'm constantly doing math problems in my head. Not like super crazy vector calculations, but like if I keep, like when I'm running at the gym, like if I keep running at this pace for 15 minutes, I'll go this far. Okay, if I need to slow down this much to go this, like I'm constantly doing those kinds of
But
things.
have you ever found X?
I don't feel like it matters. X is whatever you want it to be. It's a state of mind. X is a state of mind.
Yes.
So what were you said your influences, your early on influences in music?
Other than math?
Other than math and the Patsy Cline and KT Oslin VHS tapes. What kind of stuff were you listening to? Were you listening to, was that the cassette tape era, or was when did cassette tapes come around? Was that 80s? I guess so, yeah.
I actually first was on vinyl.
Okay.
And I spent a lot of time with my grandparents who had a plethora of country music knowledge and music. And my grandpa was still working then. And he had this great album collection that I loved. And I was just really enamored with the whole thing. And plus, I mean, I was a grandpa's girl,
Yeah.
So it was just cool to sit down and pick out the album. And you have to be so careful getting it out and setting the needle down, all that stuff.
It's a process. It's a cool, great process. Yeah.
And so that's where I really first started listening to music. And he actually dubbed some cassettes of 4 albums for me so that I wouldn't scratch his records while he was gone during the day.
Nice.
So I had Conway Twitty, Kenny Rogers, Waylon and Willie, and the Statler Brothers.
Oh, that's a solid, strong grouping right there. What did you, when you started to play? So, okay, I took piano lessons from like at 7 and 8. And one of my big frustrations was that I wasn't learning the things that I wanted to play.
Yeah.
So that's why I moved to guitar at like 9 or 10. And then I could take my CDs in or whatever and be like, I want to learn this song. I want to learn this song.
Yes.
And he would show me the chords sometimes I couldn't do the elaborate chords, and he would kind of dumb it down a little bit for my 10-year-old mind. But was that a thing for you? Like,
Definitely, but I had a country music for kids
oh, nice.
primer.
Okay.
So one of the first songs I learned was On the Road Again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Bobby.
I was probably just like On the Right Hand.
Oh, yeah, just the melody. Yeah. Cool. When did you, when you started playing shows, you said you did like church coffee houses and stuff like that. When did, did that move to bars once you came to Tennessee and started? Were you playing when you were at MTSU? Did you play shows here, or was it?
I did, and you know what? I still played some coffee houses here, but I definitely moved around to other venues once I got here. Although for about the first year when I moved here, I was like, "Oh my god, like I can't. I'm just gonna watch these people."
Yeah,
it was a little overwhelming.
I could see that being new and 18 and just kind of like dumped into the epicenter of where it all goes down. When did you? At what point in your life did you think, okay, music is my future. This is what I'm going to do in some capacity. I'm going to write. I'm going to play. I'm going to sing. I'm going to be involved in it.
Well, I think I had like kind of two realities going for a while growing up because I'm not sure I realized that this is a thing real people did. Like when you're little and you see performers and you're like, oh, you must be some sort of superhuman, alien. This is not what regular people do. And I had a great guitar teacher when I was 13 and started taking from him. And he had actually played some guitar with Emmylou Harris and Chet Atkins and people. And he was like, like you could do this for a living.
Yeah.
And he's kind of the one who started really encouraging me, my writing, and taking that to the next level. And so that's, I think, where the seed was planted.
Right.
And then I came to Nashville during Fanfare when I was 16, and that seed further.
Right.
I brought a backpack with all the songs I'd written and a Trapper Keeper, and was like, "This is gonna be it. I'm just gonna walk around and hand out my songs. And it's gonna be great."
I like what you said about the two realities because I never thought about it that way, but I definitely had that. Like throughout college, when I was at Alabama. I was playing acoustic gigs in bars and frat parties, and then I had a cover band around Alabama for a couple of years, but I was still going to school to get my degree. So it was kind of like like that. I had two different, I'm going to get a civil engineering degree and maybe get a civil engineering job, but I'm also playing music and I really love that, and I'm going to go to Nashville. So it was kind of I'm 30 and I still don't know what I want to do.
I think when I figured out that they had the music industry degree at MTSU, and I could on trying to find the cheapest way to go to college,
right.
I think that's when it kind of started to sink in that this is a real thing, that people do. But it definitely still was interesting even then.
Did you finish at MTSU?
I did.
You did?
By the skin of my teeth.
When did you start? Did you have a publishing deal? When was your first publishing deal? What was your, into the music business? When was your first, okay, I'm in it now?
Yeah, so Trapper Keepers still played a big part in that because when I moved here, I had a Trapper Keeper. And this was before, fancy cell phones and stuff like that. So I would keep every business card that I got and write out next to it.
Oh, that's awesome.
I met this person here. They do this, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm. What years were these?
This was 2000.
Okay.
And I would just meet with anybody and everybody that I could just to learn, and whether they worked in the industry or they're writers or performers, went to a lot of shows and things. And I ended up going to an artist seminar type thing at ASCAP.
Yeah.
And this woman, Reese Fott, was talking about artist development, and who strangely enough happens to be my neighbor now.
Ah.
But through a couple of meetings with her, ended up meeting her boss, who was head of the publishing company where she did the artist development stuff.
Nice.
And he ended up really loving a song that I played him called Monday Morning Church. And he paid for me to go in and do 5 demos. And this was when I was a junior in college. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, and then on spring break of my senior year, Alan Jackson cut it.
Whoa, you weren't even out of college yet.
Yeah,
that's
so
fucking nuts.
Yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
it took everything I had to be I have to actually take
finish.
finals and stuff.
Oh wow! So when did so he recorded that your senior year? Mm-hmm. When did it? Because I know there's always this overlap. I don't know, people out there listening may not know it, but I've known guys that have had cuts, and they'll know that whoever Kenny Chesney was going to cut their song, and maybe he cuts it, but it doesn't come out for a year.
Yeah.
Or something, and then you don't get paid for that for another year or something crazy like that. So when did that actually come? That came out in 2004, right?
Yeah.
So when?
So he cut it the spring of 2004.
Okay.
And had Patti Loveless sing harmonies on it. Then I got a Randy Travis cut, and then I got a record deal on RCA, March Development deal. And
bing, bang, boom.
Yeah, all that. Right.
And I'm
away.
in. Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what's happening? And then he released it that fall.
At what, 21?
Yeah.
Wow. It's not bad. Not bad, Erin Enderlin.
Yeah, I try. I peaked early in life.
No, the best is yet to come. I have faith in you. I was listening to the Whiskeytown Crier, and it's fantastic.
It was super funny, like you were talking about. Oh, and thank you for that, by the way. Like you were talking about the kind of lag time and getting paid.
Yeah.
So this is one of my favorite stories, but I got a call. Now I can't even remember if it was the fall of 2004 or the spring of 2005, but Monday Morning Church was still on the charts. And it was about 8 o'clock in the morning. I'd been playing a show out the night before, so I wasn't really awake. And got a call, and they were like, hey, is this Erin? Alan wants you to come out to his show tonight. And I was like, Alan who? Like Alan Reynolds? Like, is it a producer in town, has a new artist they want me to see? And I was like, oh, well, I have a lot of family coming into town. Can I call you back? Yeah. And I hung up, and I was like, I know that like Alan Jackson's playing here tonight, but I don't even have money to buy tickets to go see that. Like, surely it's not him. Yeah. And I called back, and I was like, so I might be a huge special word. You didn't mean Alan Jackson, did you? And she goes, oh yeah, and he'll leave 14 tickets for you. We'll call. You can just bring whoever you want.
Bring whoever the hell you want. Just bring them on. Yeah. 14. Wow. So did you take your family to the show?
Oh, no. I ended up going.
By yourself?
Yeah. Well, I actually ended up bringing my boss from MTSU.
Okay.
She was a huge Alan Jackson fan.
Were you working there?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask. Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. So how is Alan Jackson? What kind of a guy is he? I've never.
He's been really great to me. I've only talked to him a handful of times, but he told me, keep it country. Nice song, keep it country.
Yeah. I feel like he would be a very soft, not soft-spoken, but rarely spoken person. I don't know why.
I feel like both of us may have some social anxiety, so we get along.
Because you never see him in interviews. In all of my life, you hardly ever see him be interviewed in something. And if he is, he's like, 10 words and he's done.
I think it's really cool, though, that you get cuts with artists and you don't always people don't know that you don't meet them, you don't even talk to them.
Yeah, it's usually just through the chain of whatever. Yeah.
And that was really special to me that he asked me out there, dude. And he invited me out to his 50 million album sales party and some other stuff that.
Very cool. That other people might have just written you off or whatever,
He's always, it seems, really conscientious about the writers and the people that are part of his career, and it's really cool. Very cool.
When you were talking about you worked at MTSU, so when did you have day jobs? Because I know that's a lot of things. Some people say don't get a day job. Some people are like, get a day job. Some people are like,
Well, I had a work scholarship.
Okay.
So I worked.
During school. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, my sister did that. She worked a couple of semesters. She was in the kitchen, and then she'd move here and do this and whatever.
I've only had weird jobs. They've never been I've been a camp counselor for different things for summers, and I worked rolling newspapers, different random stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I was totally spoiled. I totally got to go from college to a writing deal.
Yeah. That's crazy. Like college, and then Alan Jackson just released your song, and it's huge. And now you've got a publishing deal and all this stuff. So did you go? You said you got a deal.
This is easy. I don't know what people are complaining about.
A lot of people say this is so hard.
You just walk in here and stuff happens.
You just bring a Trapper Keeper with all your songs.
Yeah,
and then
Trapper Keeper is the key. Do they even make those anymore?
Did it have the zip? Was it a zip?
I've had both kinds. The ones with the Velcro and the zip up.
I think it's cool that you were talking about keeping the business cards and writing down who they were and what they did. When I moved here in 2009, and I would go out and try to meet people and this and that. At that time I had a flip phone, LG flip phone. So I had a folded up piece of paper in my wallet that I would write down at Losers, door guy's this, and he wears this kind of hat, and this is this person. And then the people that play on Wednesday nights are these people. I met this guy that does this. And that way, whenever I would go back out to wherever, I'd pull that piece of paper out and be like, oh, that guy's name's Tony. Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of Tony, just as a random aside, I'm pretty sure one of the best things ever was just during my college career going to the Broken Spoke and watching Tony Lane.
Okay.
Tony
Lane?
Yes.
I don't know if I know Tony Lane.
Oh, my God. He's just one of the best songwriters ever.
Yeah.
And I loved it so much. He was always down there hanging out. And he would get up and play. And he was kind of like my hero in rounds too, because back then he smoked. And so he'd just be like sitting in the corner smoking alone. And then he would get up to do his round and he would put a cigarette in the top of his guitar.
Oh yeah, the cool move.
Play a song. And then he would not stay on the stage. He would get up in between his songs. Like let the rest of the round do their thing and then get back up. And I was like, yes. As a socially awkward person, this is amazing. Because you know,
it's
like you're
weird
sitting
to
up there and you're wondering, like, are people staring at me? Am I sitting weird?
know
Like,
exactly
I don't know
what
what to
you
do while I'm not singing.
Yeah, like people listening, when you do a writer's round, it's usually like you and there's like 2, 3, 4 different people or whatever in the round, and each of you sing a song, then the next person sings a song, and you go around in a circle. And it is very awkward when you're sitting there, and especially if the other people aren't good. Like if it's like a bad song, I feel awkward because I'm like, can they see it on my face that I don't like this song?
Yeah. Well, Tony's one of my heroes just for that. Like, I've never seen anybody else do that. And I was like, yes, you're such a badass. You're just like, I'm not going to be uncomfortable. I'm just going to go stand over here and do my thing.
Yeah.
And then I'll come back.
Then I'll come back and sing my song, and then I'll go back. What was the guy's name that wrote Don't Take the Girl? Or one of the guys, do you know? What's his name? I'm going to look it up. I'm going to Google it.
At some point in my life, I probably could have told you that, but
because it's
brain cells.
Don't take the girl. That was one of the first music videos I remember, Tim McGraw.
Nice.
What was that guy's name? Oh, it was one of those guys. I think it was Craig Martin. Let's see here.
This is on the fly research. I like it.
This is. Oh. That's not helping me. Yeah, that was him. Yeah. Craig Martin. I saw him playing at Losers one night, and he played a few of his songs. I can't remember the other ones he wrote, but he was talking about, they were all sad. They were all terribly sad songs. And like, you know, that one. And he's like, his wife or somebody asked him, why don't you write some happy songs or something? Why are all your songs so sad? He said, because I write when I'm sad. He said, when I'm happy, I'm out fishing or hunting or driving around or doing something. He said, and it's a valid point. And, you know, everybody's not that way, but I feel like people get their inspiration, and some people like just don't feel inspired to create things unless they're hurting.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like I should branch out. I mean, I used to write funny songs a lot, but no one seemed to gravitate towards those. But I've only really written like 2 like love songs, and they both gotten cut. So maybe I should do more of that. But I'm kind of a narcissist, I guess, because both of them were like, oh, I'm going to write a love song to me. Like, what would I want a guy to write to me?
That's a cool way to think about it, yeah. When do you write regularly or
irregularly?
Very valid. Like your publishing deals that you've had or have, do you schedule like 4 writes a week and with people you know and don't know and like that whole deal? Or are you a kind of a person that just writes when you feel inspired or when you want to get together with a certain person or something?
You know, I've been through different stages. I've been writing 17 years here now.
Yeah.
And while I love it, I don't know. It's hard for me to sit and write every day, although I've done that.
Yeah.
I've also done, like, I'm not going to write for 2 months, and then I'm going to write 2 or 3 times a day for a week.
Yeah.
Right now, the last 6 months or so, I've kind of taken a little break because I put out an album, and I've been more focused on figuring out some stuff with that, booking, all that good stuff. And it's been kind of a nice break. I've only been writing like 2 or 3 times a month.
Yeah.
I've
heard there's so many different. It's like anything else. There's
well, see, here's the problem. In August, I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a break from writing for a little bit. So I wrote like 4 songs, and Terry Clark cut 3 of them. And I was like, this is working. And so she spoiled me, and now I'm like, this is just what I'm going to do forever.
Yeah.
But not forever. I'm sure I'll swing back.
Yeah.
To me, though, it's hard. You know, I think you get to a point where I think when you're starting out, you need to write. Just write.
Yeah,
and
because it's a practice.
Yeah, and, you know, it's like Harlan Howard said, you know, write 100. That's when I moved here, I heard that he had said, write 100 songs and throw them all away and start over.
Huh.
Which I'm glad I didn't, because Monday morning church was one of those. Right. But I did follow that advice in terms of just, when you're starting out, don't worry too much about like, is this song perfect? Do I need to like really obsess over this? And also don't be one of those people who walks up and is like, I'm a songwriter. I've written 3 songs to a publisher, because they're going to be like, really? I'm not sure about that. Can I trust you to do this every day?
Right.
But, I found that really helpful to just write through a bunch of stuff and throw it away. But now I feel like spending more time on finding the great ideas. And for me too, like, going out and reading a book, or spending a week living and just, traveling, or other things like that might be better use of my time, and then find that one great idea to write that one song and
then go with it.
Yeah.
How much of your writing is based on real life, and how much is like fiction that you just kind of pull out of the air?
So most of my songs, I like to be one of those writers that I get to disguise my real life in songs. So there are a lot of songs where there are threads of my real life or emotions from my real life, but I kind of just disguise it with other characters.
Yeah.
So there definitely are parts of me.
Right. I feel like that's a true artist does those kind of things. Like it takes some reality and then fits it into a story. I've found that it's really hard for me, and something I've worked on in the last couple of years. It's hard for me to just make up something, like just completely make up a story. Chance and I have sat around. We've written a couple of songs lately that are just story songs that just there's a story that we came up with, and it's really cool. But it's hard because and it's the same thing with whether you're writing a story or writing a song or whatever. When you get to the point where you're like, well, what's this guy gonna do? He could die. He could live. He could fall in love. He could buy a truck. He could
do a lot of things.
Yeah, anything in the world. And so sometimes that's overwhelming to me.
Yeah. I do like to write a lot. I've written some of my favorite songs just starting from a first line.
Yeah.
And just see where it goes. Because sometimes also it keeps me excited to be like, oh, what's going to happen now? And like if I can keep that excitement through the end of the song, through the reveal, then, I mean, with Last Call, that's how I wrote that. That Lee Ann Womack recorded. My co-writer and I started with a first line. We didn't have the hook until we got to it.
Yeah. That's cool. Is the first line of that I bet you? No. What's the first line?
I recognized your number.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Man. Oh, I was listening to wanted to make sure and say this. I was listening to Whiskeytown Crier, which, ladies and gentlemen, is out and available right now. You should all go purchase it. Whiskeytown Crier by Erin Enderlin. But I was listening to it, and the harmonies on Caroline in the chorus. Big fan of that. And that's
Chris Stapleton, so.
Oh, shocking.
So it's kind of hard not to be a fan of that.
Right. And then the blues are alive and well. I think that might be my favorite.
Yes.
The hook in that, as long as there's whiskey in a song by Keith Whitley, is that right? And then and maybe he is loving somebody else. It's so good. I heard it and I was like, oh. And
that's another one of those songs that started from the top down.
Yeah. That's so interesting too. Everybody has their own way of doing it. But like when you start with a hook, or when you start with the first line, or when you start with the music, or when, there's no one way to do it.
No.
So what's been your favorite thing that you've done to date in music?
Oh man. Well, I've had several big moments. I mean, playing the Opry was huge for me because that was my biggest dream when I was a kid growing up. That's all I wanted to do, and I got to do that. So
yeah,
that was pretty phenomenal.
Pretty close to number one. What all? Who all has recorded? Name some other songs. Last Call, Monday Morning Church.
If you don't know Jack, Luke Bryan, Tyler Farr cut a song called Cowgirl.
Okay.
Had some Joey and Rory cuts. His and Her. I got the title track to that album.
Nice.
Terry Clark. Muscadine Bloodline. Put out a song of mine last year, WD-40.
Okay. I've heard of them. I haven't listened to them much, but I bet it's a great song.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite song? That's a weird question to ask. People ask me, and I'm like, it depends on my mood of the day.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to single that out.
Yeah. Are they? And this is always a question I like to ask, but nobody wants to answer it. Is there a song that you get tired of playing?
Well, I will say that sometimes, I mean, it's a blessing and curse because I don't take it for granted at all. But sometimes when I'm especially playing rounds and such, I feel like I should be playing my cuts because that's what people want to hear, that coolness. But then I have like new song babies that I'm like, but I want to see if you like this one.
Yeah. It's like when you come in here, I'm thinking, okay, I want to ask about Monday Morning Church and Last Call, but I also want to talk about the new stuff because, you don't. Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse because you want to talk about the stuff that you've had success with, but you're also like, hey, I've got new stuff too, new things coming out. So what's going on now? Are you touring? Are you playing shows?
Yeah, I've got a bunch of shows coming up, a bunch that I need to add to my calendar.
Yeah, your website calendar.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about that. I'm going to be heading out on the road a lot more this year.
Do you do your own booking or do you have a booking agent?
Well, Stephanie Lowry has been taking over. So shout out to my girl. She's been helping me take things off my plate.
Bless her.
Yeah. We were talking about wearing a lot of hats earlier and,
that is one of the bigger struggles I feel like, especially when you're independent and when you're like, I'm as independent as it gets. So I'm doing booking, but then when you're doing all the work side of, the book work side of things, you can't let the creativity side of things slip away. So that's a constant.
It can get confusing. Your brain's like, wait, which side am I supposed to be using?
Yeah. I've talked about this before, but one of the toughest things for me is like when I'm on the road, especially when I'm out with a band and we get there and we're setting up and we're doing this and that, sound checking. I got to make sure that, because I don't have a tour manager or anything, so I'm playing tour manager. So I'm like making sure the band and everybody has food, checking with the venue, make sure everything's good. Then like at some point, it's that 30 minutes to an hour before the showtime that you have to like switch off the tour manager, the business side, and switch on the entertainment side. And that's always a stressful like 30, 45 minutes to me because you have to go.
Sometimes I kind of like it because it keeps me from overthinking a lot of things or time to get too nervous.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If I have other activities to keep ready. But yeah, there's definitely, and I do find it a little hard sometimes, like when you're getting in the zone right before a show and then people want to talk to you and you're like,
yeah,
I don't want to be rude, but I'm trying, like my brain like needs.
Yeah. And I like accidentally like snap at him and like, no, like, I'm sorry. Like I didn't mean to snap at you just then, but I got to go over here.
Yeah.
And then just walk backstage or something. Yeah. So do you have a record deal right now? Did you do this independent?
I did it myself with a huge amount of help from Jim Moose Brown and Jamie Johnson. They produced the record.
Oh, nice. I noticed it was some of the steel. Who played steel guitar on it?
Well, there were like 3 different steel players on it.
Did Cowboy
Van
play
Dugmore, Cowboy played on it.
I knew I heard some Cowboy steel on there.
Yeah. And Paul Franklin.
Nice. Yeah. I forgot which song it was, but it was like one of the, maybe some of the in-between stuff or something. And I was like, that sounds like Cowboy. I don't know. That was one of my favorite things about it was, did I read somewhere that it's a concept album? Is that right? Yeah. So it kind of all flows story-wise. I love that because one of my favorite albums of all time, my favorite album of all time is Red-Headed Stranger.
Oh, yeah. So, nice.
So I love the theme and like the going in between, like right from one song into the other where you're not really sure where one ended and one began. So it's fun stuff.
It's trippy.
I have it from a artist's point of view that I want to incorporate some of that into my next CD. Do you go into the studio with some of that in mind as far as like going from one song to the next? Or do you just kind of like get in there and tell them, hey, they kind of want to do this. Let's come up with something. This
was kind of a backwards thing. I've always loved concept records and stuff, but Jamie actually got the idea for that after we had cut the songs.
Okay.
So, and it's a little different concept-wise. His thought was, what if it was like a newspaper from like, what if this was all these songs, all these characters, because I write a lot of songs that are very character heavy.
Yeah.
If it's all this little town, Whiskeytown, where all these little sad souls are all together and kind of each song is like a story in the newspaper.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then Moose really made a lot of the magic happen between the songs.
Okay.
And he was great at, leaving the tape going and such while we were recording to get a lot of that in between.
Catching stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, he might catch something here and then put it in.
Yeah, like I think Till It's Gone, I think that one, Dan Dugmore was just noodling on the steel and Moose was like, "Oh, saving this."
Yeah. That's cool. Some of the best things you capture in the studio are like just off the cuff, not meant to be, and then that's why you keep.
And then Moose can play everything. He's kind of incredible. So if something didn't have something that fit, he could go back in and.
Where your shows you said you have coming up? Where do you know off the top of your head?
I'm going to Pennsylvania, Virginia. Let's see some others. So St. Louis, Northern Missouri, Trenton.
That's a wide.
Well, these are over several months. I'm probably missing some in between, and I'm going to be.
Where is there some kind of place that they can go to see these dates?
There is
at some point.
My website and my face place, as my grandma calls it. And also, it's really cool if you go on Bands in Town, you can follow me on there and it will send you fantastic little alerts on your phone with new shows that I'm playing.
What's the website?
It's www.erinenderlin.com.
Awesome. Do you do, are you a social media fan or do you do stuff on that? Yeah.
I kind of gotten mad crazy about the socials.
Yeah. Where could they follow you on those things?
They can follow me on Facebook, which is Erin Enderlin Music.
Okay.
On there. And Instagram, Twitter, just Erin Enderlin. All the good places.
Very cool. Did you know that today, this is completely out of left field, but I read this in the newspaper earlier. Today is Tiffany Amber Thiessen's birthday.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
She turned 44 today.
That's phenomenal.
And I have a problem with in the newspaper, because it shows whose birthday it is and then what you might know them for. Mm-hmm. So it'll be like to show the actress and then what movie she might have been in or whatever. But it showed her name and in the parentheses after it said Beverly Hills 90210. Come on now. She was in that, but she will always be Kelly Kapowski from Saved by the Bell.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care who you are.
That's true.
Of course, I don't know how many seasons they had of Beverly Hills 90210 because I never watched it, but she was Kelly Kapowski.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I kind of felt like she was still Kelly Kapowski on 90210. She just switched personality, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just
changed names on the show. And then, yeah.
The thing I did love about 90210 is that you could basically solve all of life's problems in one episode. It was always a life lesson.
I remember that being on, but I don't think I ever watched it. I don't know what I was doing. Maybe it was that. Was that in the same era that the Saved by the Bell college years was on?
It might have been. I mean, I definitely remember going to school with 90210 notebooks.
So that would have been in the 90s, I guess? Late 90s?
Back in that great decade.
Well, there were so many. Yeah. I liked the 90s. I grew up in the 90s. Mm-hmm. Now I'm just daydreaming about the 90s. If you could go back and give yourself, fresh out of Arkansas, 18, did you move here when you were 18?
Yeah.
18? 18-year-old Erin Enderlin, moving to Murfreesboro. If you could give yourself some advice, what would it be?
I think it would be that while you should always, it's great to have mentors and to listen to other people, I think it's important also just to not get too caught up in that and just keep doing. You can always get really caught up in the long-term goals and such too, which it's great to have those and to plan for those. But I feel like sometimes, especially in this kind of business, it can be hard to pare it down.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get overwhelmed.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you can just keep doing something every day, whether or not it's, I wrote a song today, or I played this show today, or I sent this email to book today, then in a year from now, when you look back, all those little things are going to kind of add up, and they're going to just naturally give you opportunities that you can follow.
Yeah. I dig that. Well, you heard it, ladies and gentlemen. Well, thanks for talking, Erin.
Thanks for having me.
This was good stuff.
I feel unstifled.
Awesome. Don't ever be stifled. Don't be stifled in life, people. Hey, do you want to play a song?
Sure.
All right.
I know that most folks, they like a good joke, laughing and wearing a smile. Place where the good times flow like a good wine, and love songs are always in style. But the blues are alive and well. I'm living proof that heartache still sells, as long as there's a whiskey, a song by Keith Whitley. My baby loves somebody else. The blues are alive and well. The bartender hit me, my glass is half empty. Has been since he's been gone. And I heard his new wife goes great with his new life. Seems like the whole world's moving on, but the blues are alive and well. I'm living proof that heartache still sells, as long as there's a whiskey, a song by Keith Whitley, and my baby loves somebody else. The blues are alive and well. Turn up that jukebox and turn down the lights, and let me be lonely tonight. Oh, as long as there's a whiskey, a song by Keith Whitley, and my baby loves somebody else. The blues are alive and well.
Oh, I just swallowed some tea leaves. Anyway, Bing Bang Boom. Erin Enderlin. That was fun. That girl graduated college as Alan Jackson was recording and releasing Monday Morning Church, which she wrote. It's not a bad little send-off into adulthood there, if you ask me. The song you just heard, Blues Are Alive and Well, is off her newest album release, Whiskeytown Crier, which is available right now, right this second, right when you're hearing this. You should go get that thing, especially if you like country music, because that's exactly what it is. Go check out Erin's website, erinenderlin.com. She's on Instagram and Twitter at Erin Enderlin. And all of that and more will be on the show notes page at don'tstifleme.com/044. Now, like I said at the start, if you enjoyed this talk, then most importantly, click that subscribe button on whatever device you're listening. Maybe even if you're on the Apple Podcast app, go rate and leave a review if you feel like it. I mean, if you really enjoyed it, we would appreciate it. By we, I mean me. I would appreciate that. Secondly, though, aside from that, if you want some behind-the-scenes perks that nobody else has access to, then go check out patreon.com/DSM podcast. And the little bit of money that you give and we get for that per month goes to help be able to keep recording and producing and releasing these talks for you to listen to. So it's people helping people kind of thing, And once again, that is patreon.com/DSM podcast. Thank you so much for listening, you beautiful soul, you. If you want to follow along, the podcast social medias are all at DSM Podcast. Mine are all at Jacob Stifle, and I run all of them. So follow me, shoot me a message, and tell me what's up, what's going on with your day. Thanks again for listening and for being you. Never stop being you. Waylon Jennings once said, "It's hard enough to be yourself. Why try to be someone else?" And that's how we're going to end that. Have a beautiful rest of your day and week, and I will talk to you again soon.